Central Bank of Nigeria directs banks to pay over the counter, partners law enforcement agencies to prosecute naira abusers and sellers, Securities and Exchange Commission to step up investor education, plus oil heads for weekly loss awaiting China recovery signs, and stocks outside Africa drop as market watchers say China ban would slow, not halt, Western solar push. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. It's time to talk business, and we begin with the news that President Muhammadu Buhari is urging Nigerian citizens to give him 7 days to resolve the cash crunch that has become a problem across the country following the currency redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The president stated this during a crucial meeting with members of the Progressives Governors Forum on the situation this Friday. We will bring you details of that subsequently. Moving on, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, has appealed to Nigerians to bear with government over the hardship they are passing through as a result of the introduction of the redesigned Naira notes, describing the pain as temporal in view of the greater benefits it will bring on the long run. The minister also explains that President Muhammadu Buhari is fair and equitable to the subnationals in the sharing of the nation's common wealth, irrespective of the party they belong. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Economies in most countries, including that of Nigeria, are challenged on many fronts. Factors impacting the current situation, as Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed says, are driven by an interplay of external and internal causes which are playing out in several ways. Despite all these, the Nigerian economy, she says, is still standing strong on its feet.
Up till today, Nigeria has not failed in any of its debt service obligations, whether external or local. And our medium plan also shows that we are still well situated to continue to service our obligations.
The minister also speaks of the federal government's concern on issues arising in relation to the redesigned Naira notes.
Not easy, and Mr. President is not happy that citizens are really suffering, but we're convinced that it is something that needs to be done at this time, and also the central bank has been responsive. But the positive side of it is that there's a lot of currency that has been mopped up by this operation.
At the State House, Jide Onifade.
Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria says it is collaborating with the Nigeria Police, Federal Inland Revenue Service, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit to address unpatriotic behavior, which includes the sale and abuse of newly designed bank notes. A statement by Director Corporate Communications of the bank, Osita Wanisubi, indicates that the CBN is concerned about the queues at ATMs and reported cases of unregistered persons and non-bank officials swapping bank notes for members of the public, purportedly on behalf of the CBN. The Apex Bank warned that it is unlawful to sell the Naira, whole or stamp or on the currency and circumstances according to Section 21, subsection 3 of the Central Bank of Nigeria Act 2007 as amended. It stipulates that spraying or dancing or stepping on the Naira or any note issued by the bank during social occasions is punishable under the law by fines or imprisonment or both. The statement explained that the CBN is working to address the challenge of queues at ATMs and directed deposit money banks to commence the payment of the redesigned Naira notes over the counter, subject to a maximum daily payout limit of 20,000 Naira. It is barely a week to deadline of the 10 days extension for the retrieval of the old Naira notes. The situation seems to be the same as cash-trapped Nigerians struggle to adjust to the new reality. But Able has an update from some markets in the FCT.
This is the famous Wuse market in Abuja. Businesses are on standstill because most of the traders are on queue at some of the ATM terminals in the market to get cash. Before we knew what was happening, our attention was called to this scene. Someone collapsed due to exhaustion.
Settle this issue as soon as possible so that everybody, you can get your money whenever you want it.
I want them to make it easy for us to be withdrawing our money.
Even if you go to the other ATM, you can come back and tell somebody that you left this line, you've gone.
We actually need more circulation of the new cash.
While traders are hustling for cash at various ATM terminals at the Wuse market, the case seemed to be different here in Gariki Model Market.
They have finished the whole money at the ATM. Even if they are not paying you the normal money you need, they will give you 1,000, 2,000.
Transfer network is slow. I mean, it's really discouraging, sincerely.
To transfer, there is no network. So it's just frustrating. Most of them, they will go. And most of them, I will collect their numbers. And up to today, like the people that did transfer yesterday, have not seen their money.
I'm here not to come and buy money. I didn't come to buy any food stuff. I'm here to come and buy because in my street there are a lot of ATM, but queue there you will stay 2 days, you have not cashed out anything.
That's the situation update here in Abuja markets. I am Bosse Able.
And now the federal government officials have been directed to henceforth to refrain from using private emails for official purposes. President Muhammadu Buhari, who gave the directive, said all federal public institutions must also migrate their websites to relevant government domains produced by the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. This was while formally unveiling the national policy on Nigerian government's second-level domains as well as the National Data Strategy 2023 to 2027.
Administration, we acknowledge that data is the core of the digital economy and a catalyst for wealth generation in the fourth industrial revolution. Nigeria can significantly benefit from the economic and social potentials of data, and we can become a leader in the emerging global data economy. And this national data strategy is a step in the right direction. I urge the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy to keep up the excellent work. We are very proud of the great strides of our digital economy sector.
Two policies, and most importantly, the compliance of these two policies by our citizens will go a long way in supporting government to continue to consolidate the achievements of the sector and even all other sectors of our economy. Because today, digital technologies are no more a stand-alone sector, but rather it is the key enabler of all other sectors.
And still talking data, the National Data Privacy Week was observed last week with a lot of awareness on cybersecurity and data protection. Just as the week was being celebrated, the Nigerian Data Protection Bureau, NDPB, opened an investigation into allegations of data breach by GT Bank and Zenith Bank. A statement by Head Legal Enforcement and Regulation NDPB Babatunde Bamiboye says these investigations were triggered by allegations of unlawful disclosure of banking records to a third party and unlawful access and processing of personal data. There have also been reports by Nigeria Interbank Settlement System which indicated that within 9 months of 2020, fraudsters attempted 46,126 attacks, and they were successful in 41,979 occasions, representing 91% of the time. On the program today, we will be talking about how to get records straight on how to handle the data of citizens. Our guest is Dr. Vincent Olatunji, National Commissioner and CEO, Nigeria Data Protection Bureau. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you for having me.
Out of 100% attempts, 91% was successful.
Yes.
That is alarming.
Yes.
When we talk about data breach, what does that mean? What is the implication, particularly these figures?
Thank you very much. When you talk about data breach, it means that your data, which you have willingly given to your data controller or your data processor. Data controllers or data processors are those who collect, process, store, secure our data. For instance, your telco is your data processor, your bank is your data processor, NTA is your data processor, because you work at they have a whole lot of data with data they are processing. Now, the practice and the law is that your data controller or your data processor, that is that entity that keeps your data, owes you that duty of care to ensure that your data with them is secured. They need to put in place a lot of measures in terms of the kind of policy guiding their data processing activities, in terms of the capacity, the competence of their staff, the staff handling such data, in terms of the kinds of technologies they've deployed to safeguard such data with them, in terms of awareness that they have created among their staff, that if you're in this field, if you're in this space, if you're in this department, these are the things that you need to put in place. In fact, what we have is, we have organizational measures, that is kind of what they have in terms of policies, staff, and so on. Then we have the technological measures, in terms of the kind of technology that they've deployed, the database, the security they put in place, antivirus, malware, even physical infrastructure to guide against any breach. Now, if there is any unauthorized use of such data, that will now lead to anything that will affect the data subject, that is when you say there is a breach. For instance, if I have a data with my bank and there's an unauthorized access to it, and it's happening every day, some bank officials, maybe because they have access to such data, they start calling you to ask for some information. We want to change your PIN, we want to do this. Can you give us your former PIN? It happens every day. In that case, that is an authorized asset, because such data is not being processed, it's not being used for the purpose for which the bank collected it for. And if there's any issue, that is a breach. That is a breach. And any unauthorized access, processing, usage of your data is a breach.
Now,
and if that is reported to us, we take it up immediately.
Dr. Olatunji, we have two banks mentioned here who are under investigation. I want you to tell us about this ongoing investigation, how far. But before this investigation, they were talking about it, we're talking about two banks now. Yeah. For instance, I have an experience. As a civil servant, I have my data with the IPPIS, where my payment is processed for my monthly salaries. Yeah. Then I get a message or a call from loan sharks to say, you are Mr. This, that, Mr. Benny Adams with IPPIS, so number, this, and that. Do you want a loan? And I'll ask, where did you get this information?
Yes.
That's a breach.
It is, absolutely.
So, if this is reported to you, what do you usually do? And tell us about this investigation.
Okay, when any breach is reported to us, because it's part of our mandate to investigate any data breach that occurs anywhere in the country. So far, the data is that of a citizen of this country. What we normally do is to write to the organization involved, that is the data processor or the data controller. Now we have received this complaint from this data subject complaining about an unauthorized use of our data. Can you explain to us the kind of measures you have put in place to secure such data, or generally to secure people's data in terms of your policy, which I mentioned before, the security and stuff like that. And if you have data protection officers in-house who are creating awareness about data protection and stuff like that, then the kind of capacity, all the things that we put in place to ensure that such data is secured. We now ask specific questions about that report that's given to us. We received the report that this and this happened to this fellow's data. Can you please explain to us how it happened, and the impact on data subject? Now, when we receive your response to our letter, we study the response thoroughly. We have a team of investigators, lawyers, forensic experts, law enforcement agents. They sit down, do a proper review of your response to us. We now invite you for a formal meeting, which we refer to as pre-action conference, with your officials. And ideally, your DPO, your data protection officer, should accompany to such a meeting. We ask questions based on, one, the report that we have received, and we will have done a thorough evaluation of your own process too, and the response that you have made to us. We go through thoroughly, we ask questions, and the funniest thing is that most of the investigations that we have carried out, private sector organizations, usually when they invite you, if a government organization invites you to such a pre-action conference, a lot of them will come with the intention that maybe they don't really know much about this thing. But to a large extent, I would say that we are proud to say that the field that we have investigated, by the time we are done, they will know that yes, these people, they really know what they are doing, and the next, how do we move forward?
Okay,
what is the next thing?
Before we get to the outcome of that investigation, from look of things, you don't have to go deep into what is happening. We understand. It's an investigation that is ongoing.
Yeah.
For now, Nigeria has gone cashless. Reports have shown that a lot of people will have to go through interbank transfers.
Yeah.
A lot of data is out there. One, how protected is this data? And as a bureau, what facilities, what policies, yes, you mentioned some policies, what facilities are on ground to ensure that our data is protected from your end and from the end of other service providers?
One good thing in Nigeria is that the financial sector, in terms of compliance, they are the best. Because the record we have shows that in terms of compliance, when we measure performance in all sectors, the financial sector is doing 49%.
Okay,
whereas a lot of other sectors are doing less than that. So because they understand the implications of this, especially banks, they understand the implications of data breach. So a lot of them are putting in place security measures. But we keep telling them, security measures that we are putting in place is not enough to take care of data privacy. What really takes care of data privacy is the law which we have in the land. It's in the Constitution, Section 37 of the Nigerian Constitution as amended. And we have a regulation, Nigeria Data Protection Regulation, and now which is gradually becoming a law. We have a bill that we have drafted, which the Federal Executive Council graciously approved last week, and it's on its way to National Assembly. And our target is to get it passed before the end of this administration. So this is the law. And in the law, there are some things that we need to put in place in terms of data security, rights of data subjects, data security, your operations, what kind of operations are you putting in place, then what kind of staff do you have, what are technology, and so on, which we need to put in place as an organization to ensure that such data is secure. The first thing is your data privacy policy. The type of, you tell them who you are, the type of data you collect, how you use it, how you process it, who you share it with, which is really important. Now, coming to the banking sector, which is really important and which is part of what we are trying to discuss there. A lot of them are put in place fantastic privacy policies. Whereas there are some that when you do proper evaluation, you know that they are not really as strong as we would have preferred. And one thing will lead to the other. For instance, you are driving on the highway and maybe you cross traffic lights, a road safety officer stops you. The offense that they're stopping you for is because of that traffic light that you've crossed. It starts by saying your driver's license, your fire extinguisher, your this, your that. It leads to other investigations. Now, if you receive any investigation from any data subject, oh, my data is breached. The next, okay, the data is breached. We now do thorough evaluation of your entire data processing activities, the kind of governance structure you've put in place, the kind of documentation that you have in place, the kind of in-house staff in charge of data processing, the kind of technology that you are deploying. So we now do a whole evaluation of what you have put in place. Then we'll start picking holes, start looking at things, possible areas where breaches may occur. And by the time we present this to them, a lot of them, one thing that is good, a lot of them will go back to say, okay, we want to do remediation, we are putting in place these structures, we are making proper necessary amendments. And it's not only 2 banks that we have invested several organizations. In fact, we have 4 banks, one telecommunication company, one gaming company, one consulting firm, and a whole lot of these loan sharks that we've investigated over 80 of them, because their reports keep coming every day. And the most important thing is that we have the law in Nigeria, we have the Data Protection Supervisory Authority in charge of implementing such law. So the era of manipulating people's data, using people's data anyhow, and thinking that nothing will happen, we passed that era.
Thinking of nothing will happen, let's talk about penalties. Let me give, for want of time, let me give you a double barrel question in 30 seconds. I want to know what's the level. It seems a lot is being done, or a lot is involved in data privacy, data protection. I want to know what level of awareness have you embarked on for Nigerians to know how to protect their data. Then secondly, in terms of breaches, what are the penalties?
Yeah, let me start with the last question, the penalties. What we have in the law, that if there's any breach, if it is thoroughly investigated, I'm required that the issues with discouraging measures that are put in place, you have to pay 2% of your annual gross income for the previous year. For instance, if it occurs this year, what you are paying is 2% of your annual gross income for last year, not net now, gross,
the gross,
which is really huge. And the banks, the telcos, other companies, they know the implication of this. You are saying, okay, bring 2% of your annual gross income.
But that's another way of generating revenue.
It is. But that is not our main focus. Our main focus is to encourage them to comply. They now see compliance as a culture. Comply by design, data protection by design, and by default. But right from the start, you are starting your database, your data protection activities, you are incorporating that aspect of data protection, which is really key. Then the other one is about the second question.
Penalties.
Yes, which I
just
mentioned.
You just mentioned awareness. What are you doing?
Awareness, yes. When we started this program, you mentioned something about the Privacy Week, which is a global thing, being done all over the world. It's usually 28th of January, which is the Global Privacy Day. But because of our level of development here, the understanding of this sector, and the level of data simplification, that is the level of the growth in the digital economy, we usually dedicate 1 week for data.
1 week is not enough.
No. This is just part of it.
Just
apart from that, there are other things that we've done in the area of awareness. For instance, we are discussing a lot of MDAs. We said over MDAs because they are major data controllers from the public sector to tell them about data privacy and protection. We haven't trained a lot of them. A lot of public organizations that we have trained.
Dr. Vincent, there is a whole lot to talk about data privacy and protection. We'll get to talk more on this. For want of time, we just want to appreciate you at this point for sharing your thoughts with us and giving us this information, particularly for the public.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, Nigerian equities held on the winning strides following strong buy sentiment at the close of the last trading session for the week. The all-share index advanced by 0.4% to 54,213.09 points. 268 million shares were traded in 4,017 deals, valued at 2.354 billion naira. Equity capitalization closed out the week at 29.528 trillion naira. Universal Insurance led the activity chart, followed by a guaranteed trust holding company and Transcorp. Let's take a trip to the global market.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market Review. European markets retreated on Friday as investors digested key central bank decisions, economic data, and corporate earnings. Now, the German DAX was down 0.58%. The French CAC also depreciated by 0.23%, while London's FTSE was up 0.24%. U.S. stock futures slipped as well after several high-profile earning misses cast doubt on the recent market rally. The Dow Jones Industrial Average futures dropped 119 points, S&P 500 slipped 0.84%, and Nasdaq 100 dropped 1.53%. Stocks in Asia traded mixed. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index fell 1.36%. The Shanghai Composite slipped 0.68%, while in Japan, the Nikkei 225 was up 0.39%. In Africa, stocks rose slightly, bucking the global trend. South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 added 0.2%. Tunisia's Tun Index was 0.12% higher. Namibia's overall index, however, declined 0.25%, while Kenya's Nairobi All-Share remained unchanged. That's Global Market Review. I am Neka Oko.
Well, that wraps Business Express for now. Business Express returns next week. Have a wonderful weekend.